On my way home from the barn, I did it again. I found a way to turn an easy day into a difficult day. All just like that. Not really. I mean, I got to the barn. The track was covered in snow. We weren't going to train today. I was just so happy with the way the horses have been going here, especially across the board, but definitely in Ontario also. Very happy with what I've seen here. So I wasn't really, it was an easy fix. Just jog today, don't train. I felt so bad afterwards. I was sitting there watching Rito's lady, the Huntsville filly, jog today, watching her jog, and didn't make a video for you. I felt like such an idiot when she came off the track. I'm like, oh my God. I watched James Arthur. Now this is the horse sent up by my father, which would make him a brother to Marshall Zukov. He's a maritime bred by Arthur Blue Chip, so they called him James Arthur. For those of you who haven't figured it out, James's middle name is Arthur. Dumb name. So James Arthur is for those of you named Arthur, I didn't mean that in any way, shape, or form. James Arthur was up here getting broken, going. So I went with him the first day or so, and James went with him today, and he looked good. He looked good on the track. So we'll get you some videos of those horses in the coming week. My apologies to that. Now James Arthur, being named after James, will most likely need to be castrated. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes over the next little while. So it was a nice day, though. A beautiful day, snow-covered December day, a week and a bit from Christmas. So heading over to Ohio, the kids had a Christmas concert. Amy and I and James watched it yesterday. James's son is in the same school as Oliver and Ava, St. Ignatius over here in Guelph. And we watched the Christmas concert yesterday. They had a second performance today. As soon as the second performance is over in about half an hour, we're heading to Ohio. A lot of horses to go with tomorrow. Amy and I do, and the kids coming for the ride, as they generally do. It should be a lot of fun. We had some horses race yesterday. What about Atlas Hanover? Ugh, that was nice. Just a disgusting, filthy, muddy, rainy day. It didn't look to me like he was racing very well in the last turn, and then closed up hard to finish second in the pouring rain. I thought he raced very, very good. All things considered, maybe not the best trip, but what are you going to do? It's horse racing. Kings County, again, tough trip for him. First over, raced awesome again. A lot of people mentioned to me and asked me about Kings County because we had talked about how we're going to breed some mares to Kings County. Now, my partners in the Kings County group, I guess this would be what you call a test breeding, just to see how they do. We really won't know for a few years. I guess 2 years before they're on the ground and actually in harness. But when it comes to Kings County, I mean, we breed to all these nice sires in Ohio, but here we have a $210,000 yearling who's the son of Muscle Hill, who set a track record in Ohio on a 5/8 of 51-4. Obviously, it was beat since then, but did have a track record of 51-4 on a 5/8 mile track, closing in on $500,000. A beautiful horse. He's made a lot of money for us this year, and it's just been a fantastic pickup. And then I look and say, well, why wouldn't he be a good sire in Ohio? We'll draw in Kings County. So I have no interest in commercially breeding him in Ohio. Everybody has a son of Muscle Hill now, and all the big farms are touting their own son of Muscle Hill and breeding their own mares. I don't really care. We'll breed our mares that we want to Kings County. Guess we don't have to breed ones to beat us. We'll try and beat them with Kings County in a few years, the foals. And now that I say this, many of you know now that there was an issue with 3 Point Blue Chips, the sperm mobility. I don't know anything about it, but it's going to be a problem for him. So I said to myself, this is a problem because although we only want to breed our mares, we don't want to waste an entire breeding season trying to get them in foal. I'm learning a lot about about breeding mares. I don't ever want to be a breeder, so to speak, and I don't think there's a need for me to have a large amount of knowledge of breeding. Having said that, I'm just looking at the thing here. How does this work? Whatever. Having said that, I do want to have some. So when it comes to Kings County, I want to make sure that we can breed him. That makes sense, I think. Makes the most sense to do that. Once we check that sperm count, those however they do it, to say, yeah, he's is going to be able to breed mares. Hopefully it comes out good, and then we can arrange to breed some of our horses. I wouldn't mind breeding a Path of Totality to him, right? She's a Donato Hanover. And again, I had a little lesson today in breeding from one of our clients. Chip sent me a message and said, you know, State Park S would look good with back of the neck, but would not cross well with Kings County. He showed me the crossings. There's a lot of colorful chart. It's wonderful. I'm not arguing that he would, and obviously if he's not a good fit for the mare, fine. We'll find that I'm not really going to breed our mares in New York. And for our clients in New York that are shocked to hear that, it's tough to sell our yearlings, our New York breds to our clients, because, you know, I want to chip in and I want to be a willing partner in every jurisdiction in racing, but it just seems like New York doesn't want to be a willing partner with anybody. They make it difficult to breed in the state. You can't ship semen, I don't think, even now, out of the state of New York. The mares have to be in New York, which I get it. They want their horses there. They want the revenue earned by, I get that part of it. But as far as the licensing part, it's ridiculous. It's bureaucratic, and it's unnecessary, and it really costs them a lot of business. Whether they probably don't care about the stable.ca or fractional ownership, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, it makes it difficult for us to do business in New York. And we do race horses in New York, and we will continue to. But the fact remains, and is very real, that we would race a lot more in New York. We would buy a lot more in New York if the licensing practices of New York were not so archaic and redundant. I guess they're two very good words to explain them. So until our industry gets on board and starts making it easier, here in Ontario, it still costs money. I'm not trying to say New York's or Ontario's perfect, but you don't got to get fingerprinted, because why? We have passports. Why do we need to be fingerprinted in horse racing, right? We don't work in nuclear silos. We race horses for a living. So I don't think that's, I think that, and again, when you go back to the whole fact that each state makes you get fingerprinted, it's a cash grab. You know that. Your fingerprints don't change from state to state. Not that I'm aware of. And they don't expire after 3 or 5 years. Fingerprints stay the same till you're old and wrinkled. So it is redundant. It is a cash grab. It's unnecessary. And quite frankly, it's a blight on the industry. We would have a lot of New York breds. You know, I don't mind the state. I dislike the state because of those practices. I don't like the fact that we race all over New York. I think it's a big state, so it's a little cumbersome sometimes, but I didn't mind racing Bomb Hugger when I could, right? I guess maybe because we were winning, I guess, played a role, but I look at horse racing as an industry, and you know, I try not to chop it up into jurisdictions best we can. We race horses in horse racing. That's what the stable does. And I may live here in Guelph, Ontario. Even if I didn't live in Guelph, Ontario, we're a major player in Ontario. We're a major player in Pennsylvania, Ohio, New York, New Jersey, Kentucky, Illinois, Indiana, everywhere that you can race, we want to race. So until some of the jurisdictions make it easier, mainly New York and New Jersey, then it's going to be tougher for us to do business there. Just the way it is. So when it comes to State Park S and a number of our horses, we do have some clients. And Alan, although he isn't a client right now, I don't know why, but Alan is a good friend, and him, Steve, obviously Chip now, a number of people that are privy to the programs and the information, feel free to lend your 2%. I know there's a lot more out there. I don't mean to offend anybody by not naming your names. I may have forgot, or, you know, it's not really something I was preparing for. But if we do want to breed our horses to the best, I do believe that Kings County is a viable option as a Muscle Hill son to a number of our mares, especially Path of Totality. But, of course, somebody called. But who's the best sire? Let me know what you think. I'm all ears. This is, although I don't want to delve into that part of horse racing, I just don't think it's something I need to be involved in. To having that biased knowledge of this is where they should go, and this is where they should go, and this is what the program says. That's wonderful. We still have to train the horses. So, but I am interested in the information itself. So I have asked Steve and Alan and obviously Chip now to take a look at that stuff. And for all of you out there that said, you know, I always used to talk to Anthony about that stuff, my apologies. I'm inviting everybody to give their 2 cents. So that is broodmares. As I said last night, Atlas Hanover raced good. Kings County raced great. We had a couple that were scratched. And Macho Martini, yeah, he was yesterday, got away last. I mean, what are you going to do from there? He had the outside. He was up a class. The good news is, he was good. Is that the right class? I know I'm surprised I didn't have a number of people saying, can we bring him home to Ontario again this week? No. We have too many horses right now, and unfortunately all the classes aren't filling in Ontario. And you might say, well, he fits at almost at 5,500. Okay, super. Where do we go after that? We have a lot of horses right now, and unfortunately they aren't filling all the classes. We see that even Yes got, here's a horse that fit the numbers of whatever, 8,000, and they end up putting him in the open. I was so mad yesterday, I almost just put him on Ungate, or put him in the preferred sale. That's how mad I was yesterday when I saw that. I didn't send him down to Dover. Hopefully he ends up in the open, but I didn't want to start him there. It's not really Jimmy's fault. I know somebody said, oh, Jimmy has a horse in that class. Well, first off, if that's the case, can you blame Jimmy? He trains for other people too, and he may own the other horse. So you can't ask him to send a horse to him and then say, by the way, don't worry about your other clients or your horse. Just put Yes in where he belongs, and he can win. Easy. It's never that easy. There's shortages everywhere, and I told Jimmy, tag him if you want. Put him in for 25 or 30. Just put him in where he can do. And I know the open is not a place he can do. Here we are with so proud we're walking around with our chest puffed out because we have the sister to JL Cruz. Super. Oh, we got to race against JL Cruz, who's a dinosaur now, but still a good horse. We have to race against Crystal Fashion and JL Cruz with a horse that I sent out of Northfield because he got beat up in the numbers 8,000 or 10,000 or whatever it was. Not ideal. I get that, but I don't think it was. I think the race office is short probably in Dover. I think, yes, Jimmy may have had another horse for that class, but he maybe thought that these horses would have other classes. And if it's becoming a problem, I mean, yes, I can look at Yonkers. The good thing about Yes is he can race everywhere on planet Earth. He can get around any size track. In fact, the smaller, almost the better for him. We couldn't send him to Dayton. I didn't like him at Northfield. I wanted to send him to Dover because he was bleeding. He did show a few little flecks of blood. And it would be nice to have the added support of Amicar, but only if it helps and only if there's a place to race him. So I'm on top of it. I notice these things also. I don't know if you're aware, but I'm your partner in Yes, and I do notice when he goes down to race in one class and ends up in the open. Yeah, it kind of tweaks my ears also. I see it. So, we do have some horses up for sale on Monday. Somebody said, well, can you please not sell Grace? I get it, guys. I'm not necessarily against you. She would still have to bring the right price, but at the same token, look at My Jazz and Compass Rose DC. 2 horses I have respect for. 2 horses we're still going to breed. 2 horses that have looked abysmal since they returned to the track because they don't have classes. You have to understand this. I know Jeff, a good client, friend of ours, sent me a message that please don't sell Grace. Since she raced her last 13 starts, she has been racing great. I agree with everything you said. I love the way the filly raced the other day. In fact, I said I wouldn't sell her after her last start. But now she's out of that class, Jeff and everyone else. She's into the numbers of 4 where she's raced and she can compete. Fine. Let's say she does good, great. If she gets out of that class, that's it. We've exhausted many of her avenues. Now she's up in the numbers of 8 where Will to Win Hanover got smashed every week. And that was when it was even easy. Now it's tougher. There's just not, if we can move that horse and fit in. Now we have to look. As a group, this is what we have to do. Look at what, I can tell you right now, numbers of 2 pacers at Mohawk are still kind of late. There are some claimers. Yes, I suppose we can claim a horse. But we have to look at what's filling and what we need. And right now, racing... So this is what happens. If we race Grace in the numbers of 4, but not 6, and she gets beat, or she ties up or looks bad, there. I can just tell you what she's worth, 10,000. That's what she's worth. If she goes out and wins, she's probably worth more than we'd maybe get for her on Monday. But she's approaching a boiling point. And you have to understand what happens after that boiling point. As I said, circle back to My Jazz and Compass Rose DC. You do not want to race horses out of their classes. And I know it's easy for you guys to sit back and watch them on TV and say, she looks so good. I drove her. I can tell you she looked awesome. And I think she can do in the numbers of 4, but I know she ties up. And if Tim is telling me the numbers of 4 is a little saltier and after that it's a free-for-all, now we're in trouble. We have to be able to move quickly. We have to be more flexible. What do we need to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish, which is to do good in our classes? What do we need? Fresh faces that fit classes that we can do well in, whether it be Mohawk, the Meadows, Northfield, Dayton, Yonkers when they open back up after Christmas. I know Megan had said, love to have some horses for you guys for the winter, and we would love to give them to her. Scotty and her, love doing business with them. Really nice people, knowledgeable, eager. And I like the fact that, 1, Megan is a great horse person. 2, she likes the horses. And 3, she wants to do well. She's got that hunger, that fire in her. Right? And Scotty always wants to do well. Scotty is always business. A perfect name. The Money Man is a perfect name. 1, he's got lots of it. And 2, he's always got his eye on the ball. Always. Much more focused than I have ever been or ever likely will be. And I try my best to be focused. Just Scotty is laser focused all the time. It's really impressive, to be honest. 2 people I would love to do business with all the time. I got my brother now who has a horse in Pennsylvania or New York, but races in Pennsylvania. I'd love to do business with him in the summer of 2023. People don't realize what kind of a horseman Mark was before he was a driver. Go back and look up his training stats. Always been a sharp guy. Sees things, right? And that's what makes James a good driver, Scotty a good driver. Likely what makes every good driver and trainer a good trainer is attention to detail. And it doesn't matter whether you own a restaurant or movie theater or bowling alley or you train and drive horses. Attention to detail is important. And Mark, very attentive when it comes to the horse. Almost too much sometimes. You don't want to go over that edge of being too attentive, right? Then you start worrying about things that may or may not even be there. Then you go crazy. It's the way it is. It's what this game will do to you. Push you to the edge and drive you crazy. You have to be grounded also. So, we want to find the right horses for the right classes, always. And if, unfortunately, the game has changed around us, we have to be aware of that also. We don't have to wait until it's shoved in our face and becomes glaringly obvious, almost to the point as we miss the bus. We have to be aware. We have all the classes, for the most part, in Ontario full of trotters that we need. Right? Maybe even 1 or 2 more. After I saw the draw and heard Dominic talk, I'm like, maybe I should have just left, stay close in Pennsylvania. But that ship sailed. He's in a good spot for Monday. Let's see what happens next Monday, which is fine. LD's Patrick, I want to get him back on track. He's terrible right now, but in a funk. We see horses that'll do this from time to time. It's not him tired. He just come back. So I'm wondering what it is. Steve asked me a great question today. Maybe he just was raced, and we finally gave him a rest, and he decided, I like resting more than racing. It's possible. I can't tell you it's not. But he was just so competitive. I don't think so. I hope not. Sailor, same thing. Stacy said he trained well. Let's see how he races this week. But we need, as we get rid of the Rito legacies, right? As we get rid of the horses this week, we sold 2. Anchors Up left. Sipping on My Shine gone. Rito Legacy will be leaving. A Handsome Face. Yeah, that's my fault. I'll wear that. I'll wear that around. Anthony's boo-boo. And before you start crying about a Handsome Face, I'm your partner on him. Probably own more shares than you. So that one's going to hurt. Santa's going to give me a shellacking on a Handsome Face. And I'd love to say live and learn, but there's nothing learned. You just live and deal with it. Bought him for the right reason. There was upside there. Just turned into worst case. Actually, maybe even below worst case scenario, because he couldn't do the class I thought worst case scenario was for him. So it's worse than worst case scenario. Grace, a little different. I'm not going to give her away, but I think she is worth moving, because the other thing is selling her. People notice also, right? She does have classes available at Yonkers, right, when they do open up. At the Meadows right now, at Northfield, in Ontario. So there is classes for Grace. But when they're gone, they're gone. So, there's that with her. I'm going to watch the price, but you have to understand why it's important that we keep an eye on stuff like this. Who's the 4th horse? Handsome Face, Rito Legacy, Grace. I don't know. There's 4 of them. I should know, but I can't think of it right. I can't think of 4 names at once. See, every time. I don't know why. Can't think of 4 names. 3, no problem. 4, no. Can't do it. We are going to sell some horses on Monday. I looked at the sale. The unfortunate part is Not a whole. I know a couple of people say, I love the eager beavers out there. I love the people out there like, what about this horse? What about this horse? I get it, and I love that you're looking. There's just not a lot for us there, right? There's one horse maybe that might fit, maybe. But again, if I see it, other people see it too. And because there's not an abundance of those quality horses just for sale just yet, and they will. You'll see them come like an avalanche after Christmas. They come in waves, right? Right now it's dry. It's dry right now. And it doesn't seem to be driving up the prices on the middle-of-the-road horses either. Yeah, I thought one would go for 60 the other day, and he went for 70. Okay. But that will change also. There'll be a wave of pretty decent middle-of-the-order horses come, and they'll all be a little discounted. And that's you're just going to have to wait it out. Wait it out. So I know everybody's like, don't sell the horses that are doing good right now. That's because they may not be doing good in the future. You're going to have to trust me on this. So that is what we're up to right now. Super excited. 1, to go to Ohio. 2, to go with the babies tomorrow. 3, to watch the horses race tonight. Also, spend some time along. I'm wearing Amy down. We're going to go to the mall today in Buffalo maybe and do a little Christmas shopping. But I'm excited too. It's my favorite, as I said a million times, my favorite time of the year. I like there's a little snow out. Everybody was happy at the barn today. The horses jogged. They're not going to train tomorrow either. Just going to jog tomorrow. So all the caretakers are a little happy here. I made 6 sets instead of 8 for Ohio tomorrow, so everybody in Ohio will be happy. We don't have to race on Saturday night, so we can head back a little early from Ohio. And if the kids want, maybe stop at New York again. I know there's a hotel in Buffalo with a heated pool and a hot tub. Addie's favorite. All their favorites. So that's a possibility also. Just a great time of year. I hope you guys, you know what, too? I forgot that. I meant to lead with this. So I was in politics a very short time, 2012 to 2014, so 8 years ago. So between 8 and 11 years ago, 10 and a half years ago, when I was canvassing in Guelph, I met this very, very nice old lady, and she's quite elderly. And she liked the horses, and she sat and we talked for a little bit. And she always stayed in touch. Every few months, 4 or 5 months, she'd call. I hadn't talked to her in a while, right? And every so often I would think about her, and I was wondering, she's still around? You know, is Helen still around? And don't I get a call at 11:30 this morning? My father, so for those of you who may not know, my father also is the editor of the Atlantic Post Calls, which would be like the Trot magazine for the Maritimes. And I made sure she got a subscription to the Atlantic Post Calls, and she's been getting it. I said, "You're still getting the Atlantic Post Calls?" She said, "Yes, dear, I'm still getting the Atlantic Post Calls. Thank you so much." She watched. She knew that I'd won the Gold Cup in Saucer and that we had a good year at the track. This lady has to be 95 years old. I'm sure of it. And we talked for about 20 minutes, and I hung the phone up, and it just made me feel good that, 1, she was still around, and 2, that she was still keeping up with us. Doesn't own any horses with us, and I don't know that she ever owned a racehorse in her life. I met her in politics. And I know she doesn't watch these videos, but it felt great to talk to Helen on the phone today at Christmas time. So we're going to load the kids up, go over to Ohio this afternoon, hopefully do some shopping, be happy. Even though Amy's not a big shopping fan around Christmas, be happy at the mall and get some work done this weekend in Ohio. So lots of good things going on at the stable. Everything seems really good right now. For those of you who are my partners and myself in the bar, he did arrive. He did jog today. He's going to go a slow mile tomorrow maybe. We'll see how he is. There's no glaring issues with the horse. He's just not functioning properly. So I told Danny, I said, feel free to work him a little bit tomorrow. And then he'll go over to the vet Monday afternoon, 2 o'clock. We have an appointment for him to get fluoroscoped. So all is well. Everything's moving well. So happy to see, not just talk to Ellen, but see Punch the Clock walking. I'll send you that video this afternoon. You can get a look for yourself. Just truly, truly a miracle at Christmas. So with that, I'll let you guys go. I hope you're having a great day. I hope you had a great week. And I hope you have a better weekend. Take care.